Do you ever feel like you have this void inside yourself, like there's this emptiness that you just can't seem to fill? Food and the void inside of yourself. That's what I'd like to talk to you about today. As I'm recording this, I've just returned from yet another workshop on the topic of emotional eating. And in my workshops, I always ask the audience this one question: why do we eat? What is the reasons for our emotional eating? And I always get the usual responses such as stress and boredom and loneliness, but there's one other that always keeps popping up. And just this weekend, a lady at the back of the room put her hand up and said, "I eat to fill the void inside of myself." What is this void that we just can't seem to fill? I was just watching this documentary recently called The True Price, and it was about the devastating effect of the fast fashion industry on third world countries. Of course, we can now go to places like H&M and Zara and buy clothes very cheaply, and they release new styles every week. So someone has to manufacture these clothes very quickly and very cheaply, and that leads to people working in third world countries in horrendous conditions. But the question remains, what fuels this desire for us to always try and find something out there outside of ourselves to make us feel good? You see, from having undergone my own journey and my own struggles with overcoming the challenges with food and alcohol, and having worked with people from all walks of life on the topic of emotional eating, I can tell you this: it doesn't matter whether we use food or alcohol or shopping or whatever it is. It all comes down to one thing. What we really want is we want to reconnect with ourselves. We want to feel the feelings of being our true selves. Now that may sound a little bit airy-fairy to you, but it doesn't make it anything less than the truth. Consider this for a moment. If you said to yourself, "Why can't I stop eating this crap?" Have you ever thought to consider who is asking the question? Who is the I that is asking, and who is the one that can't stop eating? You see, the one that can't stop eating is your egoic self. It is the voice in your head. It is the perception that you have of yourself, the version of yourself that you've created through your life experience so far. Now, your egoic self, your ego, always lives in the future or the past. It's always worried about the future, or it resents what's happened in the past. When you're living in that state, you're never truly in the present moment. Now, the predominant feelings of your ego is feelings of shame and feelings of anger and sadness and fear and all the emotions that really weaken us. Now, who are you really? Who is the true self with a capital S? Well, your true self have got a very different natural state. A state of joy, a state of acceptance, a state of emotions of kindness, of gratitude. Now consider this for a moment. Have you ever stopped to think, what does an empowering emotion such as, say, gratitude or kindness feel like in your body? If you have a feeling of being grateful, what does it feel like in your body? What is the sensation and the location of that feeling? If you put yourself in a state of gratitude and pause for a moment and reflect what is happening within, you'll find that it is a very pleasant feeling. Perhaps it's a feeling of groundedness, a feeling of feeling fulfilled and satisfied. It's a very satisfying, pleasant feeling. Now, have you ever stopped to consider what is the feeling, the location and sensation of eating your favorite comfort food? Now, if you consider that, you'll find that it is very similar. So what that means is that when we use something like food as a coping mechanism, it creates the illusion, if only for a moment, that we are really connected with who we really are. It gives us that same feeling, of the feeling that we are really after. You see, when it comes down to it, we do everything we do to feel a certain way. Now, of course, The strategy of using food doesn't work because it only lasts for a short time, and when it wears off, we find ourselves back in the feelings of feeling guilty and feeling shame. So what we really want is to reconnect with ourselves. So how do we do that? Well, I've got 2 key points for you today that you can use as a starting point. Number 1 is living more in the present, living more in the moment of now, which ironically is all you ever have. This present moment, this moment right here, right now. If you stop for a moment worrying about the future or thinking about the past, and just in this moment, then things will start to change for you and you'll be a little bit closer to who you really are. The second thing is to live more in emotions and express more emotions of your true self, the emotions of kindness and of gratitude and of joy and of acceptance and of willingness. If you do that more often, you'll start to feel that void filling up with that which you have been looking for all along, your true self.